Welcome to Rising Goddess Radio. I'm your hostess, Michelle Torrance. I created Rising Goddess Radio to be a space where we dive deep into our spiritual, emotional, and physical bodies. We're getting real and connecting with ourselves in the most intimate ways. We'll be talking all things sacred sexual, relationship building, and womb healing. We'll be learning how to connect with our bodies through learning the language it speaks, how to use our sexual and sensual energies to create, manifest, and heal our lives. This show is about healing the chaotic feminine and toxic masculine within to create a world that responds to the divine and healthy energy you chose to tune in, tap in, and turn on. We will learn from amazing humans who take time and share their wisdom and sacred healing magic, rising humans who are here in this world to be healers, teachers, guides, priestesses, warriors, and shamans. All divine sisters and brothers in rising. We'll get witchy, sassy, sexy, and saucy. We're going to talk all things that align us with our true nature and authentic selves and create a community that expands with the ascension and growth of each of us. So grab some green juice, light some cannabis, get your blankets, or sit by the pool because we are about to rise up another level together. Catch you on the inside, dolls. Hello, my beautiful rising humans, and welcome to this next episode of Rising Goddess Radio. This episode, I have brought back 1 year later, the lovely Blair Dreessen. And this year later, Blair was our first guest on Rising Goddess Radio, and she was talking about EFT tapping. And in this last year, she has expanded and risen into some serious goddessness, and I am so excited to have her back. And this time we have her on and we're talking about human design. Yes, human design. This has been kind of blowing up lately, and it was fun because I actually had some resistance and some confusion and then clarity all happened within the show. So it's a great episode. But if you're not familiar with Blair, Blair Dreessen is a life coach. She is the founder of the Heal Method. She is also co-founder and co-creator of Spiritually Intimate, which creates the Crystallette. We also had them on the show. So if you missed the Crystallette Spiritual Intimate show, make sure you check that show out. And then also they also have a podcast as well. So make sure you head over there and listen to them. But she is amazing, and she just brings so much love and light. And her and I, you're going to hear so many things in common, things that she says, you're going to recognize and understand how I just love her so much. So I'm really excited for this episode. So come join the Rising Goddess group before, now, during, after, whatever, but come join the group and have the conversation with us. And let's go ahead and get connected. Oh, and head over to Instagram and find me over there at the Rising Goddess _. That's at the Rising Goddess _. So I'll go ahead and we'll check y'all in at the on the inside. Later. Hello, my beautiful rising humans, and welcome to this next episode of Rising Goddess Radio. I'm so excited. We've got Blair Bear. This is, do you know that I think 2 weeks ago was our 1 year anniversary of you being on the show, and you were the first guest.
That is right.
Mm-hmm.
I popped your cherry.
You did. It was amazing, everybody. If you haven't listened to it, Blair was our first guest episode, and we talked all about EFT tapping. This was the very beginning of her ascension into her spiritual guiding and teaching phase of her life. So you listened to the intro, obviously, that I did with her bio. So we're just going to dive right into it because as soon as we hopped on, we were automatically instantly talking about the father wound and how follow through is success for me and not the actual outcome, but the follow through and finishing it and the awareness. So instantly we're on this cosmic level.
Always.
Yeah. And her voice is so sexy on the microphone. So it's just going to be a sexy episode all the way around. So Blair, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I got so excited when you said you wanted to have me on again. And can I just say, I love hearing you call me Blair Bear.
Mm.
It just gives me all the warm fuzzies.
I love it. Yay. It's like all these birds. Let me tell you a fun story that's just popped in my head. So obviously I need to tell it. When I was in labor with Tori, this
Mm.
was 17 years ago. Um, and funny enough, they put me in the bed at 4:20. Um, hello. Um, and I started going to my water breaks and everything like that. Well, I couldn't get my epidural yet. So they had given me some sort of painkiller. Well, I used to do lots and lots of drugs, when I was younger. And I went into a trip. And so I'm talking shit to all the people coming into my bed, into the hospital room.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, I'm on this hallucinatory trip, and all these pink fuzzy teddy bears are dancing around the room. And they're like, hey, we're having a baby today. Hey. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just having a great time. So that popped into my head as soon as I said Blair Bear. So just
Aw.
wanted to share that story with everybody. We rambled off. So let's begin with the guest here. Enough about me. You guys already know me. Well, kind of. We'll get deeper into that. So Blair, thank you for
Yes.
being on the show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I asked the same question as I asked before. So let me ask you now, a year later, what do you love about being a human right now in this time and space?
And I feel like I had somewhat of the same answer then. And then I know like me and Andrea, we were on with you talking about spiritual intimate. I feel like it's the same thing. It's just this overwhelming excitement of this openness and awareness and all this knowledge that we are being able to tap into. And so many souls are awakening. Like, and I
Mm,
love that. I love seeing the process of all of it unfolding, and that I feel like my soul has been called upon or decided to enter this human experience to be like a conduit of that experience for other people, to further help with other people's healing, to kind of be willing to go through some of the shit in order to bring the light in for other people in their
I
dark.
love that. You know, it's so funny that you just said that because the man Jesus popped in my head, and I was actually having a conversation. My there's quite a few different perspectives on the man Jesus. My perspective on him is what you just said, the conduit,
Mhm.
right, of showing others how they can be the light, how they can be the conscious awareness and the choices. And I just love that that is where we are right now. I do see that. I see that. This is what I was talking with Sean the other day. I say this quite a bit. I've been feeling it for quite some time, but like there's this split that's happening within the awareness, the collective awareness.
Mhm.
And we are either choosing to consciously embody, right, the
Mhm.
conduit miracle aspect of being a human, right?
Mhm.
Or we're choosing to deny it. And as we choose to accept it and embody it, then we rise up into this higher vibration. And then that is the manifested heaven on earth, my personal thought process. And then as we choose to deny it, then we create that world, hell on earth, my current ideology and thought process. So interesting that you just brought that up. So I'm very chatty today, apparently.
Go for
So let's get into why we're here. If you're not familiar, first of all, Blair is amazing. Share a little bit about yourself, Blair. Where have you been? What took you from where you were a year ago? What's happened in your world, in your life, and up until today that we're talking to you now?
So I feel like, I mean, a year ago is when I think I really fully started allowing myself
Mm.
to do the things without having my ego brain and the fear voice take hold. So it's like I had a lot of these downloads and a lot of these things that I should be doing, or I shouldn't even say should. Like it was the things that I was being called to do, but it was more I felt like I should be doing this thing over here. Like that's more what it was. It was like I continued attaching myself to old identities, feeling like I had to continue um working and growing and being a certain person, or else then people would reject me or not love me, or like I wouldn't be as successful, or like my business would completely fall apart. So
Right.
essentially what it is that I've had a massive growth personally, but also in business.
Yeah.
And it was before this time last year, because we're in like end of April. So it was around like, I would say January, February of last year is when I was really allowing myself to play with that energy of like, but what if I could just let go of this fear
Let
and
go.
doubt and really
Mm.
like lean into
Lean
these
in.
things that I'm receiving
Yes.
and
I'm just co-signing
recognize.
words for her right now, just to emphasize the vibration of those words. They're super yummy. All right, go ahead.
But I was like, because I had been building businesses and I had been building a business up until the beginning of last year that was just kind of like in one arena of one way of showing up and helping and serving people.
Mhm.
And I started feeling like that was the only way I could help. That was the only way I could earn. That was the only way that good things were channeled to me, was
Right.
through that work. And I felt like if I didn't continue honoring that, I was in some way turning my back on it, and in some way being like disrespectful. I started feeling like, how
Like,
dare I
mhm.
walk away from something that had opened up financial abundance so we could like buy our home and be able to really shift ourselves. If people don't know this, like my way backstory was that I was like basically on state assistance and food stamps and borrowing money all the time from our parents. And so I had started building an online business coming up. It would have been like 7 years ago in June.
Mhm.
And from that growth, I really built a very successful business. But as I started to grow in my spiritual path, I started recognizing that that wasn't really truly my soul's calling.
Yeah.
It opened up the door to lead me to really what I do now. But
Mhm.
there was that split in that time where I felt very confused, and I
Mhm.
was freaking out thinking that if I step away from this and I follow this, then I would be like punished in some way, or people would hate me, or I wouldn't be loved, or people wouldn't get it, or that
You were a traitor.
everything would implode and we would
Yeah.
be broke again.
Right. Mhm. I
It was
understand.
just like, yeah. So when I really started stepping in a year ago to really like, you know what, screw this. I'm receiving these things for a reason.
Mhm.
We are always receiving guidance and support from the universe. It's the ego that's freaking me out. And once I release that and just
Mhm.
lean into the inner knowing that this is coming for my greatest good, like that's when the shift started to happen. Everything started moving along. And now, yeah, I've been building two businesses over this last year that have just absolutely exploded in
Yeah.
growth,
Yeah.
far bigger than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And if you guys haven't heard the Crystal Light with Spiritual Intimate, that episode, Blair is the co-founder, co-creator, founder, idea goddess. And that is one of the businesses that she has exploded with. So make sure you head over to the and listen to that episode from the show. But today, what I want to talk about is Blair's other business and the magic that is happening with her, and where she has turned a lot of her focus on helping people. I think to kind of relate, oh my gosh, a frog has jumped in today. To relate with the abandonment, right, of the business, right, because you and I were in the same business, the same
Mhm.
team, and we both exploded into our own ascension and spiritual alignment.
Yeah.
And while we both teach the same things, we teach completely different expressions of the same message.
Yes.
And this is the fun of Earth. This is the game. This is the game board, right? This is shoots and ladders. This is the game of life. This is whatever game, categories, whatever floats your boat and shit. So what I love is that we went into that, but I can understand that abandonment feeling. Did you ever have abandonment issues growing up? Did you ever feel rejected for living and speaking your truth in any sort of way, shape, or form, even if it was as small as what kind of cookie you liked? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, at first I didn't, when we first said abandonment, I was kind of like, I don't know if I resonate so much, but the minute you said rejection,
Mm-hmm.
that definitely resonates more, which can obviously make a feeling abandoned, because if you're
Sure,
being,
different levels
right,
of rejection,
yeah, because it's like
right?
if you're being rejected for you showing up as your true self, it's a layer of abandonment. You feeling like you're being abandoned by people that you feel love you. And it came a lot from just me being a small kid, and I was the youngest. I was a little bit more loud and bubbly, and I just remember my parents all the time. It was always like, be quiet, be quiet, be
Oh,
quiet. You're so loud. You're so this. And then it always grew, like as I got into school, other kids, it was like, you're very loud. And um, all the way up until like in junior high and high school, everybody was talking about how loud I was. And I remember too, like, of just being picked apart. Like my body was always being picked apart. What I
yeah.
wore, I was being picked apart. Like, people wouldn't be your friend if you didn't wear such and such outfit or look a such and such way.
Yes.
And I was always being picked apart in either my voice and how I showed up, how I dressed and how I showed up. And
Mm-hmm.
it just really started making me, yeah, I feel very rejected on many levels from everyone around me. And it made me feel very confused of how I would show up and speak with other people. And so it was always this like,
Right.
I have to be a certain way in order for people to accept me.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
just huge. Like the whole theme of my life, I felt like that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that really rolled over obviously into business, because I always was like freaking out, like, oh crap. Like I just made a post about this the other day about like, I literally thought if people knew my past or knew certain things about me, then they wouldn't think good thoughts of me, or they wouldn't like me. They wouldn't love me. They would think all these negative things about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I just made a post the other day about feeling like I'm crazy for certain gifts and things that I'm able to do and I'm able to share and I'm able to channel and receive and like communicate. And
Mhm.
so it's like, when you were talking, I use my crystal to keep my mouth closed so I can continue to practice active listening.
I take
um,
this one, I rub it on my third eye. So we're
yeah,
good to go.
I rub it all over. It's like you guys just see the video. Normally, you guys, I don't really post the video, but we're sitting here like rubbing crystals all over our face because that's
If
how we
people
roll.
only knew how weird it gets up in our life. But it's like, as I watch you do it, I think literally nothing of it. I'm like, oh, look at her and
Yeah,
look at
no,
me.
right? I know. I'm like, okay, active listening. Channel it into the crystal, hold it in, and then we can speak, right? So I can remember it with the crystal and then talk. It's so funny how
I love it.
I know. But when you were talking about, rejection for your truth, however you showed up with your voice or how you dressed, and then everyone's always telling you, be yourself, be honest. Well,
Mhm.
you are, and then you telling me that I'm a tool, like, and to stop doing it because I'm too loud or I'm too bright or I'm too big chested or I have a too big of an ass or I'm too sexually explorative or I'm too whatever, right?
Mhm.
Our too muchness is really where I have this conversation with so many people, and I know that you and I and Ruthie and I and all of us have had this conversation before, but how our too muchness is the magic of us.
Yes.
So Blair, talk to us when you decided to go ahead and go into this new business. What is this new business focus on? And the episode title is going to have obviously human design in this. So travel us, guide us. Use the Wonka Vader or whatever. And what's the boat in Willy Wonka? The
Oh,
SS.
I don't even remember that.
The
I mean, I
SS.
remember the boat. I remember it like
Wonka something. Yeah, right. Okay.
I don't
And then he
remember.
goes all crazy, right? That's my Scorpio side trying to come out.
Get on the boat and let's go in a crazy ass tunnel together
Let's fucking
on
do
a
this.
freaking river of chocolate.
Oh my God. Oh, it sounds absolutely dreamy.
Come
Um,
on, kids.
So share with us, lead us into how you got into human design, and then let's start breaking it down. And I'd love for you to break down first with projector and then generator and then moving forward, because what I love to talk about is how each different vibration of human design and sexual energy connect and tie in together with each other and how they can dance to enhance. Ooh, that was fun to say.
That was real fun.
That's a shirt.
That was fun
That's
to hear.
a shirt. Yep. I'm creating gear for the store. So
I love it.
right there, yeah.
So it's so funny. Like, I essentially call myself an empowerment and an energy coach, but really what I feel like I am is somebody who helps take people through the shadow work, because I'm all about the subconscious reprogramming,
Yes.
helping people identify their limiting beliefs, what the emotional homes that they're saying maybe unconsciously stuck in, how to shift emotions out through body, how to do that deeper inner healing work with the inner child, the womb healing, the mother, the father wounds, all that jazz, and essentially being able to transmute the shame that they're holding in their bodies so that they can enter into higher frequency states and higher states of love.
Yes.
And when I'm able to walk people through a process of doing that and kind of clearing out the channels of all the things that are not really them, they're just the things that they've kind of picked up along the way, and they've just carried along all the years of their life of like, oh, well, this is who I am because this is what I was told, or this is how my parents were, so now this is who I am, or society says this, so now this is how I show up. Like, once we really strip that all away and really open them up to what their soul voice is, it's like I'm then taking people through real true soul alignment. And that's really connecting them into their soul self, which is for me human design. And what I really teach upon is then I work people into understanding their human design, their energetic self. And through that, then they understand their alignment and how they to make decisions in an aligned energetic state, because it's aligned with their soul and what their soul voice is and what their intuition is really speaking to them. And then through that, it literally leads into becoming a conscious manifester, because then they're really being able to attract in the things that they desire. And manifestation then becomes really fucking simple. Like, manifestation is not that confusing, people. We make it way more complex by, oh, I got to do all these blah, 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 blah things. And it's like, no, if you do the shadow work and you clear out all this stuff that's really not you, you're showing up as your authentic self and make decisions that are right for you. And then manifestation is just kind of like, it's happening. Mm-hmm. Magical things start to happen. That's when people are literally, I'm just like walking through life and all these beautiful things are just coming towards me, and the doors are opening and all the invitations are arriving and money is just growing and the success is booming. And it's like, yeah, because you're just like, you're showing up in your light. So that's essentially what I do as a coach, whether I'm working with somebody one-on-one or I'm walking them through I have a 7-week course called the HEAL method. And that is literally what I take them through. HEAL stands for H is highest self in human design, because human design and highest self to me is one and the same. Mm-hmm. When you understand who you are on an energetic level, then you know who your highest self is. Yes. E stands for ego death, which is the shadow work. That's the inner child work. That's really clearing out all those limiting beliefs and emotions and stories that we're just perpetuating, living in, and unconsciously. Usually, this is not something we like.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm just
get up
around
in the morning, right, and choose to think about this pain that we've had since 8 years old and the addictions that we've chosen to run from. You know,
I'm just gonna continue living here because this sounds fucking fun, right? So it's like literally going there in a safe space. Like seeing that doesn't have to be painful and hard when you're going into it with the right intention and energy. And I love to create a container that's safe for that for my clients that go through this process. And then A is alignment and authority, which authority is a part of human design. It is actually how you are energetically making decisions. And alignment, all of what alignment is making decisions. When you are indecisive and not making a decision, the universe can't freaking bring you anything because you can't decide what you want. You need to have clarity.
Right. And that's what I'm going to pause right there, because when you are indecisive, you are farther away. So this is when the anxiety comes up. This is when the worry comes up. This is when the lack mindset comes up. This is when it's never coming, or I'm never going to get it. It's never going to be here. And all these things start to happen. Yes. And then you get farther and farther away from alignment, and then you feel more and more and more. And then that continues. That's the momentum stream then that you hopped into.
Yeah.
So then go ahead. It landed on clarity. I'm like, I got chills. I'm like orgasming with this fucking conversation. Every single thing that we're talking about. Oh,
which I'm glad we did. We have to go down there because it's like people don't understand. They really think that they just like, they go into this whole like, I don't know. And I'm like so allergic to the phrase, I don't know.
Then start to figure it out. Research.
Yeah. Ask a better question. Start. asking better questions, you will get better answers, because I don't know is not an answer.
Right.
That is you not facing the truth that you need to face.
Yes.
And you're
I
just
don't
wanting to be
know
like, well,
is
I don't
basically
know.
the,
Ugh.
yeah, it's basically the verbal expression of addiction and running.
Mm.
I don't know.
It's so disempowering. Like,
Mm,
my husband said this to me last night. He just kept saying, I don't know to something. And I was like, don't disempower yourself that way. You
yeah.
are way more empowered of a man. Like,
Yeah.
I know you know. Don't say
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
And he was literally like,
Mm.
challenge accepted.
That's the sexy part.
He
When
was
they
just like,
accept the challenge, that's when
yeah.
it's like another level of, oh, hey,
Hmm. Yeah. So it's just like empowering people to recognize that they have the answers within them if they are working from their authority within their human design. Like, we all have our own intuitive way of coming to our own answers.
Yep.
We have a guidance system energetically placed in our bodies. And when we understand how to be listening to that inner guidance system versus listening to the ego brain, that's all the fears and the bullshit lies, and that little voice that's chirping around just saying like, you could never do that, why do you think you could, and it's literally picking everything apart. Once you stop listening to that and you listen to your intuitive voice,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you can make way more aligned decisions. And then that leads into L, which is love, which everything, it's all about transmuting shame out of the body and replacing it with love. It's letting go of, because at the lowest level frequency we can be carrying in our
Is
body is
shame.
shame
Most
and
definitely.
judgment.
Yes.
And what most people don't seem to grasp is how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in all areas of your life. So if you are carrying around shame in your body from something, even from when you were a small kid, and you haven't really allowed yourself to go back and just bring love into that situation and release that shame, you're carrying that frequency within your body.
In all other areas. So when
Yeah.
you block and when you're holding that shame, it's that anchor, right, that Abraham talks about. And it's that the lowest vibe and everything like that. And see, then that vibe carries through every single momentum stream in your life and every single, first of all, I'm sure many of you out there, we're just going to take a pause real sec, that many of you out there, you're listening to Blair and the words that she says is a lot of what I say. So this is, it just confirms
Mhm.
the different expression of the same message, which is love.
Yes.
And yeah, and this again is how we don't even, this is how we can remove and start to heal the witch wound, is because there's no need or reason to have competition with other women in any sort of area, because we're all ultimately doing and leading back to the same message no matter what. We just get to figure out what feels good for us to express that message and how we get to allow ourselves to channel it. And this is why it's so amazing that what Blair is talking about and how I do it, we do the exact same thing. I focus on the sex, right? I focus on the sexual energy and utilizing the orgasmic energy to transmute that shame, utilizing that channel. And so everything that we're doing, it all still leads back to the one ultimate thing, is that your spiritual alignment and your body, your physical manifestation, human self, is the number one most important manifestation in this world.
Yes.
Jesus.
Well, I think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always that we are here to help really people up level into their authentic truth and
Yes.
their self. And we're about raising the energy for everyone, because what is good for me is good for the collective.
Yes.
And when I'm standing in my truth, it's allowing other people to stand in their truth. And I know that my healing doesn't just heal me, it heals my marriage, it heals my relationships with my children, it heals the relationship with my family, my friendships, it heals ancestral wounds, it heals everyone else around us. Like, the frequency is the thing that we need to see, is that the more that we're raising the frequency in us, it is literally affecting the frequency of the whole of Mother Earth.
Yeah. Well,
It's raising everything around
yeah.
us.
Well, and the fact is, though, is that she's rising no matter what. She's already rising in frequency just based off of the natural cosmic cycle and spiraling effect based off of my own personal ideology and things of the spiral effect of it. So she's rising no matter what. And so whether or not we choose to rise with her,
Mm.
or we don't, right? Our heaven and hell on earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be so resistant from the rising. If we choose not to rise, then it's going to be that hell. It's going to be those cycles of codependency and lack and the fear. And I mean, look, it's interesting today. I'm just going to show Blair. This is, I did my reading today and I asked, how can I help people? And I got temperance and the devil.
Mm.
And, this devil card, it's so interesting because it's like they're in there and they're shoveling the coal. So they're choosing to continue, that they can shut down this big ass machine that blows fire and is walking after them, because the only way that this thing can work is by them continuously filling it with their energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why it's so wonderful that there's so many different ways to be able to connect and align with finding yourself. That's the fun of this. The scavenger hunt is integrating the pieces of yourself that you have rejected throughout your life to contain into your wholeness, and then
Right.
I love it.
Well, and what I also want to kind of help remind people of is this piece of like, as you're up leveling and rising, and maybe you recognize that there's other people around you that are in this state of rejection and they're not becoming more consciously aware of the things going on around them, and they're maybe a little stuck in their own wounds and their stories. We have to understand that everyone's soul signed up for this human experience to experience something. So for some, this is their path and they're learning and growing in ways that we may not see on the conscious level. We don't see it happening, but they have a part in everything as well. And we can't sit there and be like, I need to go fix everyone now around me. Right now that I'm up leveling, let me quickly go fix everyone around me.
Thank you.
Because then they're showing up fucked up, and this is not helping me.
Yeah,
like,
and we don't
ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny. We just had this experience with our daughter. She's a senior in high school, and she's in a good mood. And she was in the restroom, and another girl was in there who was not in a good mood. And because she was in a good mood, she was like, "You should smile. You look, blah blah blah." And uh, now this is coming from someone who's never had somebody or a man say, "Hey, you should smile." These are things that, when somebody tells you to do something, you should do something. A, when you're not in the mood to talk to people anyways, and then B, who the fuck are you to tell me to smile, right? And so, but it was learning. It was a learning experience for her to understand that just because she was in this state of awareness doesn't mean that this other person is in the state of awareness. And we don't know, like you said, Blair, this is so important. We don't know why and the purpose, the vibration, the desires and the design of these people, and we don't know their karmic debt. We don't know what any past life experiences that they have done, because for me, I know what my karmic debt is. Me and Sean have had a few lives that we have been fucking terrible with. We were just not very good. And so I'm fully aware of the different experiences that I'm doing now. And so if somebody is in their growth and they're like, you should do this, and why don't you do this, and you need to be doing this, and this is the way you should be doing this, they don't understand what my karmic debt is in the life that I'm living, and that how we define freedom and success and achievement in our own world doesn't mean that that's yours. And again, back again to healing the witch wound aspect of it, is that there's no need to compare, because we don't know what they're doing from their own past lives.
Exactly.
If that's something that you dig, I mean, if you're listening to this show, you kind of might have a curiosity in past life shit. We're kind of cosmic-y and witchy and shit, So
I've been kind of working with this energy that I had heard. Now the guy's name is escaping me, though he lives in the town I grew up in, a couple towns over. I gotta find this guy.
Yeah.
But I was listening to him talk about this, about how what if instead of us taking in somebody's energy, let's say somebody does something fucked up to us, right? You're driving down the road and somebody flips you off. And normally maybe sometimes that'd be something that would piss you off, fuck him, road rage would kick in, right?
Right.
And he's like, a lot of times what people are doing is they take that in and then they try to just send it back with love. Like, I'm
Right.
sending you love. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love, which is a beautiful thing. And I'm not saying don't send people love. He's like,
Right.
but what if instead of sending it, like transmuting their energy with love and sending it back to them in love, what if you send it back to them more of like, not complete, it's not with love, it's like in love, like I'm going to send this back in love to you to learn.
Yeah.
And everything is literally just recognizing that when you're exchanging the energy with any people around you, though, especially those people that are maybe showing up in a wound, it's just you sending it back with, here's your energy back so you can learn and grow from this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's basically in smaller terms, I'm just going to turn around and I'm just going to be the mirror.
Yeah. Here's your mirror.
I'm just going to be the mirror because I'm not going to, and it's going to reflect because I know that whatever is happening, whatever energy is going on, it has nothing to do with me. And this is a really great thing for empaths out there, especially newly aware empaths, people who are just allowing themselves the idea of thinking that they're empathic. This is the beginning of awakening for you, right? This is you guys usually at this stage you start to see 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 2, and at the very beginnings of seeing these angel numbers, right, which is the synchronicity of you getting closer to your awakening and alignment, right? And so I make those noises, guys, because I'm doing like a visual with Blair because that's what we be doing and shit. But I totally lost my train of thought now because that's what happens when I start thinking.
They're seeing all the synchronicities. So then they start
yes. Oh, empathic. Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're allowing yourself to tap into that, and you're allowing yourself to experience that. And we get excited in the beginning, and so then we don't know how to ground and protect and honor. And protecting our energy is a way of honoring our energy, our boundaries, and the other person's energy and boundaries. So just a quick note, and Blair, maybe you can go in with boundaries because I know you love boundary talk too. When we set boundaries, we have these fears, right? That when we set the boundary that we're going to be rejected, right? That they're not going to love us because we're not pleasing them, right? Abraham talks about all the time about being selfish is not about, you're not selfish when you're pleasing you, but if I want you to please me and you're not pleasing me and I call you selfish, that's actually the selfish part, right? Expecting you to please me instead of me please me. There I go thinking again. Blair. Jesus Christ. Anyways, thank you. Ground and protect. Setting the boundaries. Thank you. Boundary. Boundaries are really just, again, a way to honor your soul's voice, your spiritual alignment, your soul alignment, your ing for all of my spirit junkies out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on boundaries? And also, as we dive into, we're going to start diving into now the different designs.
Yep.
What are there different boundary expressions based off of the different designs? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that to me, yes. Yes, no. This
Yeah,
makes
no,
sense
that's
where
a
you
good
wanted me to go
Western
with
thing.
this.
I love it.
I feel like, so for me, yes, energetic boundaries are really super freaking key. And I think that the more that this is where, if you really want to step into your soul self and really be working in alignment, you need to start having certain boundaries, because you can't sit there and show up as your soul self, but then shifting and changing for other people.
Denying your soul self at the same time to please somebody else, right?
It's just, that doesn't make any sense. And so when it comes to, so let's break down the human designs.
Okay.
Because I feel like then that's where I could even say like how you're going to see like a red flag of where you are having somebody, or you're crossing your own energetic boundary in a way.
I love that.
So for a projector, I feel like we'll just roll there because I'm a projector. And projectors are about 20% of the human population of the world. And we're basically the energy types that are here to be kind of like the bird's eye view of what's going on collectively. We can really see what's going on. We can kind of see other people's shit. We can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. I kind of picture it if like
So
If
like the big
I'm
picture aspect.
Yeah, the big picture. We
Okay.
see the big picture. We can see somebody where they're at, and we can see
Excuse me.
how to help them. Because the thing that we do energetically is our aura is basically sampling everyone else's aura all the time. Like when I go out into the world, or
Mm-hmm.
even here on a live, and I'm talking to other people, doesn't matter how it's happening. I don't have to be in person, right? This is an exchange of energy with me and Michelle. When I'm going out, I'm sampling other people's auras all day long,
Mm.
and I'm tasting them all day
Mm.
long. And my purpose is to taste it, and then to be able to redirect it for the energy types, so I can better
Mm.
help kind of serve them. If you almost kind of picture, like I've heard it too, like the Buddha, like at the top of the hill, like people would come and ask for the guidance, and then the projector would kind of give the guidance, and then they can go off and kind of do their
Okay.
thing. So projectors, the type of work that I do obviously is like perfect type of work for projectors. Doesn't mean that there isn't other lines of work. Not all
Right.
projectors have to do what I do. Ultimately, a projector should be figuring out that they need to follow their passions, because the more that they live in their truth and their passion, the brighter their light is. It's like a lighthouse, and it calls in all of the ships that need them, that need to find what they have to offer. So what I have to offer is, the kind of work I do. And the more that I talk about it, the
Mm-hmm.
more that I get excited about it, the more that I'm just like living it, and I'm learning it, and I'm immersing myself in it, the more that I have clients just naturally come to me.
Mm.
I just attract them in naturally to me for the work that I do.
Right.
The problem is that for a projector, when they're not living in alignment with their truth, their not self theme is bitterness. So that for me is an indicator when I'm not maybe showing up like my true self.
So you get bitter and petty on things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because projectors want to feel recognized.
Okay.
That's really what we want. We want to feel recognized. We want to feel seen. But we have to wait for people to invite us in. And most times projectors are not waiting for other people to recognize them. They're just going around, and they're trying to like push people, or they're trying to like dump all their advice on people that never asked them for the advice, or they're not doing the things that they really want to do. So their light is very dim. And then they're just feeling like nobody cares about them. Nobody sees them. They're not heard. And then they're just getting bitter and bitter and bitter and bitter and bitter, feeling that they're just not good enough in the world, when they're just not recognizing it's not about outside people always telling them that they're good. It's an inner knowing of, I'm already good and amazing at this.
Mm.
And me showing up and doing that naturally brings in people to recognize me for that and invite me in. Projectors also need like a ton of freaking self-care. Like I need.
It's interesting. I don't mean to interrupt you there.
Mhm.
Everything that you're describing is everything that I see myself, but I ended up being a generator based off of the test. So it's interesting. I mean, even my meditation, I'm a lighthouse, myself grounded in
Hmm.
and seeing the ocean. So it's interesting. I'm like, really, I feel like I should maybe take the test again. Or is there a mix? It's just interesting that you're talking about that. So because I'd love to hear what then generator based off, because what my reading and everything, it's like I kind of relate to generator, but then I don't. So I'm
What
curious.
about generator? Well, we could obviously go into it, but like
Yeah.
what specifically is popping out in your head that you're just like, I'm just not identifying with this? Like,
I'm not really sure. And I'm wondering if maybe it's my own egoic perception.
hmm.
And so that's why I'm curious to hear yours, because the way that you expressed projector made more sense than what I read. So maybe it's the expression of explaining it. Maybe
Okay.
that's it. So let's try
So
that.
generators are you guys make up like 70% of the world's generators, and manifesting generators are kind of one and the same, but I'll kind of break them both up a little bit. But
Mhm.
generators and manifesting generators, they are really here. They're doers. They're kind of the ones that are really taking a lot of action. They're kind of like making things happen in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is though, is they get really locked in with that, the hustle hard and go make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go make it happen. You got to do this and you got to hustle really hard and you have to work hard for this and that and whatnot.
Okay.
And they get so locked into that though, that they are not listening to their real strategy, which is, so like my strategy is to wait to be invited.
Mm-hmm.
Generators are waiting for something to respond to. So instead of waiting for something to light them up, they're just going and they're doing the things because they're like, well, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. Versus, but is that something you should be doing? Is that really the thing that you're the best at? Is that something that really lights you up? And when they're not listening to that thing of doing what because automatically, all the energy types should be doing what lights them up.
Right.
But generators get confused with, they think they need to be going and doing too many things, or they're just not listening to so for them, it's, most of them have a, it's called their sacral or emotional response. And it's a gut response that they have. Mm-hmm. It's an or an and they're not listening to their gut responses for things. And when they're not, they're feeling very frustrated. That's how they know they're not in alignment with something, because they're feeling very frustrated with the things that are going on around them. And they get very burnt out because they will just go do, a lot of times they have a hard time asking for help.
Okay.
Because asking for help means that that means that they can't do it.
Okay.
And there's worthiness issues around that. So they feel like they have to, they can't ask for the help. And then because they're not listening to the ahas and the uh-uhs, and they're just doing everything as a yes, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to, they are stuck in their shoulds.
So basically they're the spaghettis that are being thrown against the wall.
Yeah, they're just literally doing work a lot of times because they start to feel almost enslaved to their work. They have to do it. They have to do it. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to be here. I have to be this for everyone. I have to be doing all the work at the house on top of the work at my work.
It's interesting. I'm going to stop right there and just pause you real quick, because I feel like in my past paradigm, I was that. And then I feel like now, based off of what I've risen into over even just these past couple of weeks, I feel like I identify more with the projector. So let me ask you this. Is it possible to shift and adjust different designs based off of the awakening in different levels and different paradigms that you've lived, because you no longer identify with that particular vibration of that paradigm? Does that make sense? Like, am I asking that question now?
I hear what you're saying. I've never heard of that happening before. I by no means do I feel that I'm like, I don't sit there and say that I'm not skilled, but
sure,
there's so much to human design that I'm even still learning myself. If anybody starts to get into it, you're going to go, holy crap, there's so much to learn. I personally have never heard that you can, like, your soul, like the energy behind it. What I hear more is that you're recognizing that the conditioned belief that most society puts out there, that a lot of times this is what locks generators and manifesting generators into this like hustle state and go and doing all the things, when they realize that they don't have to operate like that, which become like, that's what projectors a lot of times are here to do. We are literally here to show everybody, like, you can totally live in a flow state and you don't have to hustle hard, and the things will come. We're the epitome of that. We're supposed to be in constant flow state. Where generators, the beautiful thing is that you start to understand that. I think that's the thing, Michelle, is you start to understand that you can be in a very feminine flow state, but then you can also have that generator energy of being able to respond to that
work,
thing, and then you can go and do the work.
Right, which makes sense, which that part correlates with my karmic debt. So as you're describing and talking about it again and becoming aware of it, then puts it into a different perspective of that. Okay, because I've become aware of the fact, because that does make sense of what I used to do. Like, I used to be in that cycle constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way up through the end of, when I left Beachbody, it was still in that fucking constant hustle, do. So when you say respond, then that is in terms of sacral, obviously sacral region. That makes sense for me. Duh.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's where that energetic boundary is learning
mm,
to say no versus
mm-hmm.
saying yes and responding to all of the things.
Right. The
Learning to
lesson of rest when it's time
yeah.
to rest.
Yeah. That is what's your guidance system.
Okay.
You're waiting to respond to the right thing. You're
Mm.
listening to your gut response of, this is right for me, or And that's where most people don't lay down the energetic boundary. They're
And that's
saying
where the
yes.
shame needs to be transmuted, because
Mhm.
we're listening to the shame as part of the instead
Yeah.
of allowing the truth to be the And so when
Yeah.
we transmute the shame, let go, rise up, and we get closer into more of our spiritual alignment, then we start to see and trust and feel the and
Yeah.
the that's
And
again like the yeah.
and for a generator and a manifesting generator, there's a feeling of satisfaction.
Mm.
When you know, like that's what feels good for you. For me, it's success. Like when I feel success, I'm like, oh, that is like so good of a feeling to feel
Mm.
like successful in my body. But generators and manifesting generators, it's literally this feeling of satisfaction at the
Yeah.
end of your day.
Yeah,
That
that
is just like,
does.
oh, I'm so in alignment because I'm feeling so satisfied right now.
That feels good. That does feel right because and just what we were talking about even before we pressed record, right? And I was talking to you and it's so funny. So thank you. I just went through this whole resistance, started to get irritated, frustrated, because frustrated is when I know I'm starting to be in
Mm-hmm.
going away from my alignment, right? So
Yeah.
when you said frustrated, that made sense. And then I was like, okay, well, and then I got frustrated because she was like, you get frustrated. I'm like, I don't get frustrated. Right.
Never.
No, right. As my kids, when I hear something and I go into fucking like, don't you, like about somebody else messing with them. But that all makes sense.
Yeah. And you guys have this internal motor. You have this energy source that I
Oh yeah,
don't have.
right.
You guys have your own energy that can really be fueling you and going throughout your day. But it's like, it's learning that you don't always have to be that choo-choo train that go, 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 go. Like when you learn that you can like take moments and take breaks, you can go, 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 go again. And you have so much energy for that. Whereas like me, I can't go at the same pace as you. Or like we know like Ruthie is like a manifesting generator. Or Andrea, my business partner, spiritually intimate, she's a manifesting generator. My husband's a manifesting generator. So manifesting generators are like a generator, but they're like on speed.
Yeah.
They are like the Energizer bunnies. They can go even faster. They are going even longer. They also have the ability to kind of self-initiate a little bit more because they have that manifesting energy within them as well. So they
Yes.
can be initiating, but they're also still, it's about responding. Are they responding to the right things? Are they listening to what lights them up? And also understanding that like, just because they can do all the things doesn't mean they should. They need to still be asking for help. They need to inform other people of what's going on. A lot of times manifesting generators, they're going, my husband does this all the time. He's just going, 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 going. And he's not telling me a fucking thing of what's going on. And I'm just like, what are you
Because here you are on
doing?
your lotus flower, like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's an
here.
interesting marriage. I will say that. And we butted up against that this weekend where I was like, I was like, okay, well, it was like Sunday morning. I was like, I'm going to drink my shake. I'm going to journal. I'm going to do my thing. And then after I'm done with that, I feel like I want to clean bathrooms. I actually felt like cleaning bathrooms. So that's when I honored it. I was like, oh, I feel like cleaning bathrooms. I'm going to clean some bathrooms.
Yeah.
I'm going to clean bathrooms and then I'm going to work out and then we can shower and kind of go off onto the rest of Easter Sunday because this was
Right.
Easter Sunday. And we'll go do the things, right? So it took me, as a projector, I had like 2 hours of just like, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm downloading, I'm receiving, I'm taking my time, I'm sitting at the fireplace. He goes off and he's doing something. He comes in and he's just like, you're still here? Why? Like
Why
he's
aren't
just
you
like,
moving? Like, it's time to
why
go.
aren't you moving faster? Like it
Yeah.
was driving him bananas because my speed is completely different than his speed. It doesn't mean that projectors can't go super fast. Like I can actually when I'm like really in my zone on something, I can go even faster than a manifesting generator. I can crush something out super fucking fast. But I can't do that all day, every day. And if
Right.
I
So you're
do,
like the red log on the Back to the Future Part 3. Have you seen Back to the Future Part 3
I
yet?
have seen that one.
Okay. All right. So you know how much I love them, right?
I
So
do.
so you're the red log.
Yeah.
So you're able to go through that fire like super instant burst, right? You're a
Yeah. I'm like a
starburst.
burst.
A
I'm like
star
yeah, like
a, s-
if I'm like on
a
track, I'm
pink
like the short
starburst. That's
distance.
what
I'm the
you
short
are.
distance runner. I'm a sprinter.
You're a
I can
sprinter.
sprint and then I'm done.
Right.
Manifesting generators can do like long marathon
Okay.
and they will go full balls to the wall
Right.
doing it. But
Right.
that the problem that they just have to understand is that if they're not informing people, if they don't ask for help, if they don't take breaks, generators too, if you don't take a break at some point, you are going to crash and burn. The engine is going to fry. You are
Right.
going to hit a brick wall and you are going to be so fucking frustrated. And then you almost start to look around and blame almost everybody else. Cause then like, why didn't anybody come and help me? I'm the only one doing everything.
And then frustration and then
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Mhm.
get pissed because it's like they feel, and it's just because like my husband, I tell him, I was like, if you just tell me you need help with something, like I'll help you, but you'll just keep going. And then he's just, and I can hear it. Like manifesting generators and generators, they're grunters. You
Mhm.
guys respond a lot in like grunts. Like you don't even want to say a full yes or a no. It's very, like, so I have to just learn to like ask questions, very yes or no. And if I
Yeah.
get a like I'm like okay, and then we
Mhm.
can roll. Like if it's an I'm like, oh, that's a no. Okay, no, let's ask him another question and see
Yeah.
what's going on, right? Because
That's
you guys have physical responses to shit. And you can even tell like if you're saying something. So like if you're in it, Michelle, you're like your whole body will start to lean in,
yeah. I
right?
did.
And then if you don't, you're like like it's some serious shit to watch manifesting generators and generators when
I
they're
love
doing
it.
like, and you can tell when they're not doing what they love. Their
Right.
whole physical body and their grunts and you're just like, oh, look at, they are just going at a level that is not supportive of them.
Yeah.
You're not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because Sean hasn't taken the test yet. I'm going to have him do the test today.
Yes.
I believe he's a projector. Because this is I feel like he's a projector. Um uh but it's interesting because here's the cycle that I went through, and maybe some of you out there who are kind of working through your own limitations and like I don't want to call them quote weaknesses or the quirks, the obstacle course, right? We all chose here to come to this game of life here on Earth, and we chose to co-create. And some of us decided to have a different obstacle course than others.
Yeah.
And I think when we realize that the obstacle course is part of the satisfying experience, because that is true. That's what I was telling Blair at the beginning before we hit record is I was telling her that I am excited to I like the follow through aspect. To me, success is following through and finishing. And that for me to manifest, I must detach from the outcome.
Mm.
And I've realized that, and now understanding more about a generator and about where I used to be and how that was my life. And now that I'm aware of that, I'm able to remove any sort of shame of how I was. I can let go of any sort of fibers, little things, right? It's like cotton candy fibers of shame
Yeah.
are in,
Yeah.
because it's like Phoebe picking out Ross's aura. It's those little fibers in there. When you can become aware and forgive yourself and allow yourself the compassion and the humanity of what's the word I'm looking for, of uh just allowing yourself to be the experience. That's part of the experience.
Yeah.
that that
Human design
really
is is very much about shedding away all the things that you are not.
Yeah. And
It's just
it's having
literally,
having a logical explanation of it too, which
yeah,
is what I love, because it can, you and I can take this conversation super cosmically witchy
yeah,
through human design, or we can take it mathematical, numerological, and logical, right? So we can
oh
go
yeah,
right brain or we can go left brain with it, right?
yeah.
I love that. Okay. So
And
there's more human designs.
yeah. I want to also tell you, because I feel like this is always super fun. So like generators, like a famous generator is like Oprah,
Oh my God.
right? Who doesn't want to be like Oprah?
Right, because
Look at
I
Oprah.
know, she detached herself from the outcome and focused on the actual work of what she was doing and had satisfaction in the work.
Yeah,
Ooh, I
she's
just got
amazing.
excited for learning
She's
again to find, oh gosh, Blair.
Oprah's amazing. And then
Well,
manifesting generators are like Mother Teresa and Angelina Jolie, which
mm,
they're very manifesting generators too. They're very multifaceted. They
yeah,
are known for like they have many things that they're doing, which I when I think of Angelina Jolie or like Gwyneth Paltrow is one as well. They have lots of things that they're doing. They're
yeah.
not just like an actress. They've got like all these other things that they can do. And so they excel very well, but a lot of times they were told like pick one thing, like how
Mm,
society is, right? Go to college and pick the one thing and
yeah,
do the one
one major
thing.
and that's it. And then the rest of your life,
Yeah, and
put
they are
yourself
the
in this
types
box.
that they can just be doing lots of different things.
Yeah.
They can just do doing lots of things, and they don't have to be like number one. They don't have to always be the finishers. Manifesting generators don't have to be finishers of things. They can be like the any 80 percenters. 80% is fucking amazing, especially for a manifesting generator, but we get locked in to be like be the 100% or be the finisher, and it's like they don't always have to be like
Yeah.
totally
Well, I was
okay.
just funny because I was just talking with a manifesting generator who I'm sure you're fully aware of, but I was just talking with her, and it was about being the best for everyone. And I was telling you don't
Mm,
have to be the best
nope.
for one person or the other person, which relays into a whole nother conversation I'm going to share about um, and how I got into that. But you don't always have to be the best for one person or all.
Hmm.
You to be the best for you, and when you're the best for you, then you can attract those who desire to be the best for them, and
Yeah.
then they see parts of themselves in you as you are your best, which is what's
Mhm.
calling them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just helped
So
me just now. Thank you.
good. Oh, and I guess I didn't give a famous projector. I tell everybody that she's my number one. She's my favorite person. That's what they call me now for spiritually intimate. She's the momager of all momagers, Chris Jenner. Chris Jenner is a projector. I was joking around. I was like, she has to be a projector because she's like, they call me the momager, and they really are. They're like the momagers of the world.
Yeah,
So she is one. And
that's
she's like the
interesting.
ultimate projector. I mean, look at all the different energy types she is managing at any given time. They are all so different in their own way, and they have all
Yeah.
these different projects that they're doing all the time. And she has to manage all of that and redirect their energy and make sure that they're aligning with the things that are right for Kim and for Chloe and for Courtney and for Kylie and for Kendall. Like it's so many different things. And so she's perfect
Mm,
to be orchestrating that.
that's
Like
interesting.
it's so interesting to me. I know I love it. Like I love when I start figuring out like famous people's designs and like how
Yeah.
they've shown up. It's so interesting.
Oh,
So
it's interesting too because for me, I see where there's been sexual shame held. I can instantly pinpoint sexual shame within people. It's really kind of interesting. Um, yeah.
so the other one of the other types is so manifestors. They
Okay.
are only about like 8%, and they're
Okay.
actually going down. There's less and less of them being born every year, and that's because of just like think about our day-to-day life now, like social media and stuff. Manifestors have such bigger platforms to be able to get their voices heard,
Mm,
whereas like thousands of years ago or whatever, it was not that way. So manifestors, that we need less in them because they can impact more than
mm,
they ever
mm.
could before. Because manifestors back in the
So that's like Gary Vaynerchuk, yeah?
I don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. I think he might be a manifesting generator.
Oh, he might be because he's go, go, go.
I know Tony Robbins is a manifesting generator, which makes like so much fucking sense. That guy is like on crack.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Gary V is,
It
to be
would make sense that he would be a manifesting generator, but keep going into manifesting.
actually, I think I might have heard it's something crazy that Gary Vee was actually a projector. And then I was like, Okay, you know what? That actually makes sense because if you really think about it, he's just in his light and he's just talking about it all the fucking time. And shit just comes to him because
Mm.
he's just constantly living
Yeah, because all of his shit is
his
just
truth.
documenting. It's
Yeah.
not content creation, it's just
He's
documentation.
just documenting. I think he's a projector. I think I heard that and I was like, that's nuts.
That's
But anyways,
crazy.
so
But the different physical expressions of them, this is part of then also other parts of being a human. So just
yep.
this is your human design. That doesn't mean that everything in your life is just this one typical way. Like this is a part that really like oh, anyways, go on.
Yeah.
Words, shit.
So manifestors are like if we lived back in the freaking like way, way, way back day. I'm like thinking Game of Thrones days, right? Because I'm all into Game of Thrones right now because
Right.
season just started and I'm nerding out hardcore.
Yeah. You're not alone. There's many others out there with you.
Which I thought I saw that you haven't even watched Game of Thrones, and I'm like,
No, I
no.
don't actually have Netflix. I watch like three shows. I watch Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives because Guy Fieri's voice is
Kyle
like,
loves that show.
oh, anything with Guy Fieri really. I'll even Triple G like the grocery games because it's his voice. His voice to me is a comfort zone.
Mm,
It's interesting. And then I watch How the Universe Works.
mm.
Uh, and then my guilty pleasure is Monday nights, which is escaping polygamy.
Oh, these
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check out.
Yeah, that's on
Well,
Lifetime, and I don't really watch Lifetime, but that's on.
I'm thinking so. If I'm thinking Game of Thrones, what they feel like most people, if they don't even watch it, they can understand this
Yeah,
because it's very like the kings and rulers and
yeah.
things. That's what manifestors were. They were the
Okay.
kings, they were the rulers, and they were the leaders. They
Okay.
were here to kind of dictate and kind of tell people where to go and how to
Okay.
lead. And
Okay.
this is the problem though for them is that their aura is very closed and repelling. It's
Mm.
very pushing out. So a lot of times, so both my children are manifestors. How I birthed two of them is beyond me. I don't even, I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah,
But
right.
manifestors they are sometimes misunderstood very early on because their energy is so different from everyone else's. The minute they enter the room, they are automatically felt.
Mm.
And they are supposed to be the self-starters. They are the ones that can initiate. They are true manifesting energy. They are the ones that are like, here's the idea, here's how we implement, and this is how we go.
And then
And
it happens.
and then it happens.
Yeah.
The problem is that they step away from that because they sense other people are misreading them and they're being
Mm.
told what to do when that is not. Manifestors are here to tell everyone else what to do, which is
Right.
very interesting for a child because a child is locked in constantly
Right.
being told what to do, what to do, what to do. So
Right.
they need to have the opportunity to be able to step into their soul self and be able
To
to
lead
express and lead.
something.
They
Yeah.
are leaders. They are natural born leaders.
Okay.
They are here to lead. And when they aren't, it's when they become angry.
Gotcha.
And I see it very differently with both my kids. And this is how they can show up in one or two ways. So my daughter has learned that instead she's very uncomfortable like telling people or telling authority or speaking up for herself. So instead, this is what some manifestors do. They go like one way or the other. They feel so uncomfortable about that natural pull to like just like say what they need to say and like kind of tell people what to do that they revert and they go inward and they don't say anything, get very uncomfortable with saying anything at all because they feel like I don't want to bother people. I'm a burden. I don't want to bug anybody. And then eventually it boils into serious anger inside, but they're
Mm.
holding it in, holding it in,
And
holding
then
it
it's a
in, holding.
volcano erupts.
And then it's kind of like a volcano of emotion comes
Mm.
flying out of them, which I see this with my daughter all the time. Whereas on the other side, my son is he is very loud. He uses his voice. He's very bold. He's like in your face. He's constantly trying to show his authority. He's just going and doing and leading. And we're always like, whoa, you just need to ask. That's like a common thing. If manifestors just ask or tell people what they're doing, they won't meet as much resistance.
Mm.
It's just letting people know like, hey, I'm going to go here, or I'm going to go do this, or I think we should do this. It's just informing everyone else, or like, hey, this would be a great idea, instead of just kind of like going and doing their thing.
Yeah.
But he's very like, very combative, and
Okay.
anger comes flying out of him quickly
Mm,
because he's automatically feeling anybody that resists him. He's like right resisting back, and he's like
gotcha.
full anger is flying out of him. And so I have to just kind of give him opportunities for him to like open up and allow to lead in moments that are clearly like a safe decision for him.
Right.
Like not running around outside because he's 7 years old and just kind of like come and go as he please and never tell us where he's going.
Right.
That's manifestor children. If you have a manifestor child, that's typically a sign that maybe they're a manifestor child, because they're just gone. They're just going and doing. They're not thinking of any, because they're just like, I can just go do. And they're
Yeah.
just, and he would do that. He would just up and leave and walk out the front door and not tell me where he was going, and scared the shit out of me. I'd go in the bathroom and I'd come out and he was gone.
Oh,
And then I'd run outside. What are you doing? What? I'm outside. I'm playing. I'm a big boy. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, no.
yeah. Like you got to say, I'm going outside to play.
Yeah, just let me know where you're going, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but they're very powerful. They have a very pure energy type. And unfortunately, yes, it can make other energy types uncomfortable. But
Okay.
once they understand this and they are embracing the fact that this is just what they're here to do, they can, if they get better at communicating with everyone around them.
It's interesting you said that word, because I was just thinking about my son Makai about
Yeah.
being a manifestor, and then he's a Gemini, which is right there, communication. And then
Yeah,
you just
they
said if
just
they
have to
can get better at
communicate.
communicating.
Yeah, the minute they start communicating better, like they really allow for their ideals to flow, and they can really get things, they get the shit moving forward. They give generators things to respond to.
Okay.
You're going to get excited to be around a manifestor. My assistant is a manifestor.
Mm,
And I love it because she initiates something and it sparks an idea in me, and then I can go create.
yeah.
She
Yeah.
creates a graphic that excites me, and then I go create
Yeah.
based off of that. So she's the initiator of things.
I love that.
They're beautiful. I love manifestors. They're very interesting energy to be around.
It feels like it.
Yeah. A famous manifestor of manifestors is Jennifer Aniston, who I love,
Oh, that makes sense.
and Martha Stewart.
That makes sense 100%. Martha Stewart is a badass popple.
Right? And then the last one is a reflector, and they are like this is a unicorn. If you can find a reflector in your life, and I have one in my course right now, and I about freaked the fuck out because they are only 1% of the world.
Wow.
There is not very many of them. Their whole purpose is to basically be the mirror for everyone and everything around them. So they would have been like, if we lived in a tribe together,
Right.
they would have been the person that would be like the gauge of the tribe. They're the barometer of the environment. Or like how you heard like back in the day when they had like in the mines or whatever, and they would put a canary in the mines,
Right.
and then would know like if the canary like passed out or died, like clearly something was in the air that they couldn't smell, and then they would need to get out. That's a reflector. They're like the canary. They're the person that if the reflector is happy and doing well, the environment of wherever they are, that is meaning that the environment is happy and healthy. But if something's going on with the reflector, it's a sign to the entire tribe something's off.
Ooh, I wonder.
They're very, very interesting, but because they are so rare and because it's so different for them, because they really need to be placing themselves in environments and recognizing that, like if they're not feeling well, something's going on in the environment. They need to recognize that they're just reflecting back other people's stuff. They can shift the environment. They can literally move and go somewhere else. So like if you're a reflector and you're in a job and you're miserable, something's going on in the environment and you need to like move and go somewhere else.
I wonder then if Sean.
Reflectors are so interesting. And they have a very interesting with their authority and how they make decisions. It's very much a logical. They need a full lunar cycle to even make a clear decision. They need a lot of time.
Okay.
But during that time, they need to put themselves in situations where they can be reflecting back things. So like they can go into a conversation, kind of like talk about it to somebody else. And as they see the other person's response in it, that is kind of like a signal
Part of
to
their
them.
healing and stuff, whether to,
They can start
okay.
seeing it over the course of like a lunar cycle, and then it better helps them come to a decision by the end of the 28 days.
So then the way then a reflector would do their own shadow work healing would be seeing that they're feeling the response, right, of someone from whatever conversation that they're talking about. And if they have like a resistance to the response that other person has, is that something that they then go, they feel that?
Yeah, they're
Is
feeling into
that
that. It's like if they're
okay?
talking to somebody else and they're sharing something and then they see that response coming out, like it's in a resistance or like a negative response is coming out of the other person,
Mm-hmm.
that can be like a signal to them, like something isn't right
Okay. All
here.
right. Right. And so then they can go in, and whether or not they can either find confidence within whatever it is that they're talking about and realize then that the other person then might have resistance. Is that, see,
It's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like
okay.
both, I guess. It's they're the one type that I'm trying to learn more and more about and understand
Yeah.
because they're so unique.
Yeah, they really are like a
They're
unicorn.
very, very unique. But they know they're not selfish because they just feel disappointed in things because
Mm.
things aren't going the way they're wanting it to go. They feel so disappointed. When they're feeling great,
Oh.
it's very like surprise, like, well, that was surprising. They almost get surprised when things are almost like when things are really going good and things are all, it's like a surprise, like, whoa, look at that. Like, that's great.
Oh, okay. Then Sean needs to take this test
You may have a reflector in your home.
like it's interesting. It's interesting because remember when we learned the color personalities, right? We were sitting on the
Mm-hmm,
floor.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's a yellow.
Mm,
And so it takes him, like, for me to get an answer from him, I need to give him the options
mm-hmm.
and then go away and give him a time, like, hey, if you can give me an answer in like 2 days, then that would be great. So he has to have time
Well,
to
he
think
would,
about
but
it.
that's the thing is he may need even longer. So a reflector really needs like
That full lunar
that's a great.
cycle.
So this doesn't mean like every small. This is like big decisions. Like if they're gonna
Sure.
move, if they're gonna get married, if
Right.
they're
But
gonna
yeah,
job,
like I'm
they
talking like,
really need like a 20. And so that's the problem is that they're around an entire environment of society that says, "Oh, just sleep on it. Give it a couple days. See how you feel later." And for
mm,
them, it's like no, they need like a really long time to
they need to be
really
able
get
to.
to understand what they need.
Mm,
They're really super talkative people. They're
hmm.
very, very talkative but that's how they gain their clarity because as they're talking to other people, they are reflecting back through that other
Well,
person.
maybe that's not Sean then, because.
There is a girl that I follow. I think her name's The Balanced Blonde. Is
Hmm.
that what it is? She's got a podcast and she's a reflector. And
Okay.
so she's very interesting to listen to. So if anybody on your podcast listening to this, if they're like, oh my shit, I'm a reflector, what do I do? She's the one person I feel like she's really living her design. She's really sharing honestly.
Mm,
And I feel like I always connect people. I'm like, you want to learn about a reflector? Go follow her because she's like amazing.
awesome.
It's like
Okay.
the one reflector I came into my life. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, let me give you all the reflector
Well,
stuff.
everybody listen to Blair. Blair knows what she's talking about. Man's cool podcast. Because she's on the cool podcast.
No,
Hello.
you're on a this is a
No,
great
I know.
I tell everybody about this one. I actually have you in my resource book for my heal method.
Oh my gosh, shut the fuck up. I
Didn't I
loved
tell
it.
you
I had
that?
so much fun when
I
I
have you in my
came.
resource. I'm like, go to Michelle.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so we are almost done with this whole hour and a half. Can you believe
Holy
that?
moly. I know. There was so much to say. There's so much juicy content when you start going into human design because there's like so
Yeah.
many things to say about them.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is we didn't even really tap into the sexual energy alignment with it because ultimately our creative life force is with our sexual energy. Our sexual energy, creative life force, one and the same. So the things that she's talking about, when you start to work through those particular aspects, then you start to allow yourself to open up and understand how your sexual actual energy and response. So just like she works with people in human design, I guide people to Miss Jaya and get your erotic blueprint, to help with transmutation of shame and figure out how you give and receive love and expression of sex. And so it all really, all again comes back to energy, the energy of alignment. And as Abraham Hicks says, seek alignment and everything else will seek you.
I love that.
I
And
know.
I love how you, I'm so intrigued by the work that you do. So hence why I always tell all my clients, like if this is an area that they're working through, and we start, especially when we're going to like womb healing and even the mother womb and stuff, I'm always connecting people into your work and the things that you do. Cause I'm like, you need to get with some Michelle and start
Yeah.
understanding like the lower three chakras and just like the sexual alchemy healing that you do. Like it's so freaking important.
It really is. And, I'm working on something magical, which I'll vox for you about later. Surprising people out there. Just keep listening. Um, but I love the fact that I just love it all together. I love what you do. I'm so thankful for what you do, because just like everyone she was talking about earlier, you were saying the work that we do is for the collective, and this is what I see all the time. Like the work that you do as a human in this, like where you're at, affects somebody across the world that you may not even know.
Mm.
And so they'll have this surge or energy of confidence or alignment, and they'll take an actionable step, which then would propel or begin and knock the domino over into their particular momentum stream of manifesting, because for some reason they had this energy vibration which could have been from you doing your healing. And so that is really how we're able to fully change the world one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go into some fun final questions, where can everybody find you? What is your passion project right now? How can they work with you? And why are you so amazing?
Oh, I'm amazing because no.
The first one to answer. That's the easy one to answer.
So they can find me on all the social media is just Blair Dreessen. And then my passion project right now is really the heal method. Like that's what I'm really been pouring a lot of my energy and time into. I'm just wrapping up the first round that we did. And so I will be opening up a second round here soon. So I'm already getting people on the wait list for the next round.
Awesome.
I do have still some openings for one-on-one clients as well. And that's kind of like the main focus of my energy right now. So they can just find me on social media. They can shoot me a message. They can they can email me at, I'm like, what's my email? BlairDreessen@gmail.com. So I'm like, what's my email? I have so many emails going right now with like Spiritually Intimate and all that stuff.
Right.
And of course too, yeah, they can always check out Spiritually Intimate over on Instagram as well and come and hang with us there. And I have a podcast as well with the co-creator of Spiritually Intimate Conversations. And we talk a lot about a lot of these things about human design and the growth work that I do and the growth work that the co-creator of Spiritually Intimate does. So we're all about having those kinds of conversations too. And just because we truly believe that women that feel good do good. And that's ultimately what our business is all about, is making people feel good so that they can do good.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my God. Everybody go follow her, go talk to her, do all the shit. So let's do a couple questions and then we'll go. So what was the last thing you searched on Google?
The last thing I searched on Google, I don't even fucking know. What the fuck was I searching? I was probably searching some things for Spiritually Intimate. We're in the process of just like with our manufacturing and stuff. So we were looking at different like companies that can help us, but we have like a surplus of some fabric or something that we were not going to be needing. So we need to like sell it off. I think like that's what I was searching. I was probably searching some shit of like, yeah.
I love it. What book or audio are you listening to, if you are listening to anything right now?
Audio is, what have I been listening to? I feel like I've been doing like a mix up of things. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much like a Rise Sister Rise. I could love to just go back to that and like
Yeah.
listen to it. I love it. I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts. I've been jumping around from like a lot of different ones. I know I like binged listened to some of your episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was listening to, like I said, The Balance Blonde. What other episode? There was like a ton. I was listening to a lot of stuff because like right now our big thing is showing people that business doesn't need to be hard.
Mm.
There's like this huge thing about like business is hard, partnerships are hard, like all this stuff. And I'm like, no, like I'm so allergic to that whole like why shit doesn't need to be hard. And
Well, yeah, or even the fact that if it is challenging, that it's okay to do the challenge. You don't have to back down, and you can see the challenge as something fun or easy, which
yeah,
is a whole nother conversation too.
the hard thing is more not working in alignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you're
Resistance.
doing things out of obligation versus following your soul self. And so right
Mm,
now I've just been absorbing a lot of different podcasts that are showcasing other entrepreneurs
mm,
that are maybe not doing the same things I'm doing, but they're in
sure.
business, and they're showing
Yeah.
that they're showing people how you can do business from a more spiritual space and not be following this whole like you have to do this and then you have to do this and you have to do this, and if you don't do this then you're not successful.
Yes.
Right? So I'm on the hunt of finding other major companies that are led by CEOs that are doing spiritual work, and they're showing
How to do that.
how
And
to do it,
yeah.
and
I
they're
love that.
breaking that old paradigm of like how somebody has to do business. It's like,
Yeah, right. Like there's one box, like there's one set way and rules and stuff like that. Yeah, I love that. What's your favorite crystal right now?
I'm still, these are my go-tos right now. I've got my amethyst in one hand that I was like rubbing my third eye with through the show. And then I have my selenite that I always
Yeah.
have handy. These two are my go-tos right
No.
now. I think I
Yeah.
might even have, oh yeah, I do. In my boob, I've got a rose quartz
There
sugar.
you go. We all love a good rose quartz in our boob.
Yeah, gotta
Um,
have one in there all the time.
and last one, what is your current favorite piece of music?
Hmm.
Because I don't want to just say song because there's music that doesn't have words and it's not really a song.
Oh, well, then you know what? Then I think when you said that, like I've been going to hot yoga a lot, and I just need to ask the studio, like, what the fuck this
Mm,
one song that they play.
yeah.
And the minute it comes on, I just literally feel like my whole body just starts to vibrate. It just feels so good. And so the
Mm.
minute you broke it down that way, like maybe not necessarily song, but music, I was like literally trying to search on my phone. Like I was like, how can I figure this out? And then it's like, just
Ask.
ask them. They'll tell me instead of me running rampant trying to listen to every single
Right?
yoga song I
Exerting all that
can find
energy, right?
on Spotify. I'm like, don't do that to yourself. But it's like I love that. I love listening to that kind of style of music right now. I've just been turning on a lot of like binaural beats and just having more of that on during the day as like
Mm.
background music, like as I'm working or as I'm just kind of being. It's just
Yeah.
relaxing.
Yeah, I totally get that. I love that. Right now, I'm in this, I go back and forth. I'm in this phase where I listen to like nature sounds. And so it's like
Mm.
like certain songs, like it'll be music that'll be played with it. Or I really like the like nature, like rainstorms or thunderstorms or, just the sounds of earth
Mm-hmm.
is what I've been really kind of digging myself. So, Blair Bear, thank you so much for spending an hour and a half of your energy with me,
Of course.
and the show and everyone. Oh, I just looked down angel number 23. Let's write that down. Oh, and it is the 23rd, and I have different 23s. How interesting is that? So, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for spending your time with me. And everybody out there, go follow her. Go enjoy the amazing love that is Blair. And
Thank you.
yeah, and we will just catch you on the next episode.
I'm
Late.
excited.
Yay! Later.